I was 8 years old and playing with my best friend in my room. We had just created a game with some stones and a bamboo mat we had found at a garden. It was a normal day, sometimes around January or February 2011. That's when I heard someone knocking on the door repetitively. It was my friend's dad, with dark eyes, a tired face, and a trembling voice. They had 5 minutes to get home. Why? New curfew at 6 p.m. Get to your house on time or get arrested. Al-Shabab yurid isqat al-nizam, meaning the people want to bring down the regime, was a phrase commonly heard during the Arab Spring, which mainly took place in the year 2011. That's when most of my classmates and I were 8. Little children with no knowledge of the world and mostly unaware of what revolutions were and how much they could affect the country. I was there, and that changed my perspective on life. The difference between living through a revolution and seeing it on television, like most of you did, is shocking. Our world is atrocious, and too many things happen, leaving the news overcrowded with too much information to share with the rest of the world. After a while, if it is not shocking, life-changing, or incredibly interesting to the public, stories from the Arab Spring sadly do not sell as news anymore. And the audience, thousands of kilometers away, is missing out on crucial information about lots of different places and people. I was there in Egypt on January 25th, 2011, the beginning of our Arab Spring. For me, it was an everyday reality, an experience, struggle, and adjustment. For the rest of the world, it was a 20-minute newsreel, some articles on the newspaper, and a few conversations here and there. Even for an 8-year-old girl, my life turned upside down. School turned into online homeschooling within the span of a week. My garden became a war zone where I could rarely go because of the gunpowder smell. And my friends that lived 2 minutes away became a monthly destination which I looked forward to for weeks. An everyday, 24/7 reality could be summarized for the public in a 10-minute dramatized television report. While talking to someone who had lived through the year 2011 in Italy, I realized how different that year had been for the both of us. However, when I asked him about the year 2012, the information he had decreased by 50%. The information he had was factual and one-sided, as he was shielded by a television and protected from danger. Syria is currently being bombarded right now. Children are starving right this second, and someone is running for their life. But who is talking about it? Do you hear it on the news? I was finding some articles about the Arab Spring when I read this. We fear you are forgetting us. This is what Haya, a 10-year-old Syrian refugee who had just lost her father, told the reporter. On September 2nd, 2015, when many newspapers published a picture of Alan Kurdi, the 3-year-old Syrian boy that was found dead on the Turkish beaches, many of you paid attention. The world was paying attention. 2 days before writing this speech, some other pictures were published that were just as bad or sometimes even worse. And yet, no one talked about them at school, at home, or anywhere else, really. Am I boring you? If so, that is precisely my point. We need to care more for what's happening around us. Has the world gotten so terrible that awful picture of children covered in blood no longer sell as news because somewhere else something worse is happening, or simply because that conflict has been going on for too long? I have now been talking for about 4 minutes. That seems quite little to me. And yet, according to the Washington Post, 12 Syrian citizens became refugees. 16 Syrian children had to flee their homes, and 1 Syrian person was killed in conflict. Now go out and ask someone, did you hear what happened today in Syria? Chances are they will say no. but at least they will be reminded of the Syrian war, and for a split second, Haya will not be forgotten. It is scary to think that since Syria has slipped out of our minds, other conflicted countries have as well. Imagine the number of people suffering that we don't know about, the number of governments mistreating their people that we have not talked about in years, or the number of conflicts displacing children that are never mentioned. Just because we have forgotten does not mean we should be allowed to forget. Thank you.